Life is a journey. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what you face, you've probably asked yourself, why do we suffer? Why does pain, frustration, and suffering feel like an unavoidable part of the human experience? These are questions people have been asking for centuries. But what if I told you that the key to true peace, to real happiness, was hidden in a simple yet profound truth? A truth that can transform the way you experience life? Over 2,500 years ago, in ancient India, a man named Siddhartha Gautama, later known as the Buddha, unlocked the secret to understanding human suffering and discovering the path to inner peace. The answers he uncovered didn't just change his life. They have the power to transform yours as well. In this video, we'll explore the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, 4 profound insights that form the core of the Buddha's teachings. These truths offer a roadmap for understanding the nature of suffering, its causes, and, most importantly, how to transcend it. The Four Noble Truths aren't just philosophical concepts. They're practical principles that, when applied, can help you live a life of greater clarity, peace, and compassion. So, let's begin our journey into the heart of the Buddha's path to enlightenment. 1. The first noble truth, the truth of suffering, dukkha. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering, or dukkha. The Buddha taught that suffering is an inherent part of life. It's not just about physical pain or emotional distress. It's about the dissatisfaction and unease that come from the impermanent and ever-changing nature of existence. The world is full of suffering. Birth brings suffering. Aging brings suffering. Sickness and death bring suffering. Meeting someone you dislike is suffering. Being apart from someone you love is suffering. And struggling endlessly to get what you want is suffering. In fact, any life filled with desire and craving is always full of pain and trouble. This is the truth of suffering. These are all parts of life that we can't escape, no matter how hard we try. The Buddha's teaching isn't about making us feel bad. It's about helping us face reality so we can live more freely. Let's think about it with a simple example. Imagine you buy a brand new phone. You're so excited to have it. It's shiny, fast, and new. But over time, the phone gets scratched, the battery doesn't last as long, and it might even break or stop working. Suddenly, the excitement you had fades, and you feel frustrated because the phone isn't perfect anymore. This is a small example of the kind of suffering we face in life. Everything changes. Nothing stays perfect forever. Even good things in life can bring some form of suffering. You might get a great job, but with it comes stress, long hours, or responsibilities you didn't expect. You might form a deep bond with someone, but eventually, that person might move away, change, or leave your life. Relationships, success, and even happiness are always temporary. The first noble truth helps us see that these changes, whether small or big, are a natural part of life. We all face challenges, losses, and disappointments. It's not about avoiding them, but learning how to deal with them. Here's the good news. Acknowledging this truth doesn't mean we're doomed to a life of misery. In fact, understanding that suffering is a part of life can actually help us live better. When we accept that life isn't always going to be perfect, we stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to avoid pain or be happy all the time. We begin to approach life with more balance and less frustration. Think about how many times you've faced challenges and come out stronger. Maybe you've faced a difficult breakup, and at the time, it felt unbearable. But as time passed, you learned more about yourself, grew emotionally, and became more resilient. Or perhaps you went through a tough school year or a job struggle, but you pushed through. learned new skills, and built your confidence. Every time you face suffering and overcome it, you become stronger and wiser. This is the kind of growth the Buddha is talking about. So, the next time you face a difficult moment in life, remember, suffering is part of being human, and you have the strength to work through it. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to grow. Life's challenges don't define us. It's how we respond to them that shapes who we are. Life might not always be easy, but it is a beautiful journey full of lessons. And by accepting that suffering is part of it, we free ourselves to truly live with peace and purpose. 2. The second noble truth. The truth of the cause of suffering. Samudaya. The second noble truth is the truth of the cause of suffering, or samudaya. This truth teaches us that suffering doesn't just happen for no reason. It has a cause. At the heart of all suffering is desire or attachment. We crave things, material possessions, relationships, success, or even certain outcomes. We hold on tightly to people, objects, or situations, and when they change or go away, we experience pain, frustration, or disappointment. It's not just about physical suffering, like pain or illness, but emotional suffering too. Stress, anxiety, jealousy, and sadness. Think about it. We all know what it's like to want something badly and not get it. Maybe you've worked hard for something at work or school, only to see others succeed instead. Or maybe you expected a certain outcome from a situation, but things didn't turn out as planned. When these things happen, we suffer. But it's not the thing itself that causes the pain. It's our attachment to how we want things to be. Imagine a child who has a favorite toy. They become attached to it, loving it so much that when it breaks, they feel devastated. The toy itself isn't the problem. The attachment to it is. They wanted it to stay perfect forever, and when it didn't, they suffered. As we grow older, our attachments don't just stop at toys. We get attached to our careers, relationships, homes, or even our ideas about how our lives should unfold. When things don't go the way we expect, we experience suffering. We forget that life is always changing, and holding on too tightly to things can only lead to pain. Examples in everyday life. Material desires. Think about the times when you've wanted something material, a new phone, a car, or clothes. When you finally get it, you might feel happy for a while, but that happiness doesn't last forever. Over time, the excitement fades, and you might start desiring something new. The more we chase material possessions, the more we realize they can't provide lasting happiness. Relationship expectations. Relationships can be a source of joy, but also a source of suffering. We might expect others to behave a certain way, treat us a certain way, or meet our needs. When they don't, we feel hurt or frustrated. Letting go of unrealistic expectations can ease the suffering we create in our relationships. Unmet goals. Another common way desire leads to suffering is when we set big goals for ourselves. Maybe you want to be successful in your career or achieve something personal. However, if we tie our happiness only to achieving that goal, we risk feeling empty or frustrated if we fall short. Buddhism doesn't tell us to stop having desires or to stop wanting anything. It simply teaches us to understand that attachment is what causes our suffering, not the desires themselves. We can still enjoy things, work hard for goals, and love others, but we must learn to let go of the attachment to how things must be. One way to practice this is by recognizing impermanence. Everything changes: people, situations, and even our own feelings. By accepting this truth, we can free ourselves from the anxiety of holding on too tightly. So, the next time you face a setback or feel frustrated with life, remember the second noble truth. Reflect on what you're attached to and ask yourself if you can let go just a little. Doing so might just be the key to unlocking a more peaceful, fulfilling life. 3. The third noble truth. The truth of the end of suffering. Nirodha. The third noble truth is the truth of the end of suffering, or Nirodha. This truth offers us hope. Suffering doesn't have to be a permanent part of our lives. The key to ending suffering lies in letting go of attachment, desire, and craving. It's not about escaping life's challenges, but about changing our relationship with them. Imagine you're trying to hold a bird in your hand. Its wings flutter wildly, desperate to fly. The tighter you grip, the more it struggles, and the more you hurt it. But when you gently open your hand and let the bird fly freely, it soars with grace, and you feel a deep sense of calm. This is what happens when we stop clinging to our desires and trying to control every outcome. When we release the need to hold on tightly, we allow life to unfold naturally, and in that freedom, we find peace and ease. The third noble truth teaches us that by freeing ourselves from attachment, we can experience true peace and happiness. This doesn't mean we won't face difficulties in life, but rather that our inner peace won't depend on things going exactly how we want them to. Practical ways to let go. Letting go of perfection. You may have a desire to always get things just right, whether it's your appearance, your work, or your relationships. But perfection is an illusion. By letting go of the need to be perfect, you free yourself from the pressure that causes stress and self-criticism. Releasing unmet expectations. Have you ever been disappointed when things didn't turn out the way you wanted? By releasing unrealistic expectations and accepting that things may not always go according to plan, you open the door to peace. Forgiving yourself and others. Sometimes we hold on to grudges or guilt, thinking they define us. But holding on to hurt from the past only weighs us down. When we let go of these negative feelings and forgive, we create space for healing and joy. The third noble truth reminds us that the end of suffering is possible, not by changing the world around us, but by changing how we relate to it. Let go and experience the freedom and peace that come from within. The fourth noble truth. The truth of the path to the end of suffering. Magga. The fourth noble truth is the truth of the path to the end of suffering, or Magga. This truth provides a practical framework for living a life free from suffering. The Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path consists of 8 steps that focus on ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. When practiced together, these steps guide us toward liberation, a life of peace, joy, and true happiness. Let's take a closer look at each of these steps. Right understanding. Seeing the world as it truly is, recognizing the nature of suffering and impermanence. Right intention. Cultivating kindness, compassion, and non-harming in our thoughts and actions. Right speech. Speaking truthfully, kindly, and without causing harm. Right action. Acting with integrity, avoiding harm, and living in alignment with our values. Right livelihood. Earning a living in a way that doesn't harm others and contributes positively to the world. Right effort. Putting in the work to cultivate positive qualities and let go of negative habits. Right mindfulness. Being present in the moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. Right concentration. Developing deep focus and mental clarity through practices like meditation. The Eightfold Path is a journey of gradual transformation. It's not something that happens overnight, but with consistent effort and mindfulness, we begin to see its benefits. By following this path, we can break free from the cycle of suffering and live a life of true freedom, kindness, and inner peace. As we come to the end of our journey through the Four Noble Truths, remember this: while life's challenges are inevitable, they are never insurmountable. The Buddha's teachings offer us a transformative way to rise above suffering and discover lasting peace. By understanding the nature of suffering, releasing attachments, and embracing the path to inner freedom, we can all cultivate greater clarity, compassion, and joy in our lives. So, take the wisdom shared here today and apply it to your own life. Step by step, embrace the journey with an open heart, knowing that true peace begins within. Thank you for watching, and may you walk the path to freedom with strength and serenity.